Business Spotlight, brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.
I'm Sonya Farrell. This is Business Spotlight in partnership with Cross Rhythms City Radio and Baba Baboon. Joining me in the studio this week, we've got Gareth Thomas, who's from the Staffordshire FA. Hello, Gareth.
Hi, Sonya.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Now, Gareth, the Staffordshire FA, just clarify exactly what the Staffordshire FA actually does.
Okay, so we're the national governing body, the local governing body for grassroots football in Staffordshire. So most people are aware of the Football Association at Wembley, who are the national governing body for football, whose job it is to safeguard, protect, develop football nationally. We are one of 50 county FAs locally, and our job essentially is to look after predominantly grassroots football, not the pro game. So we're tasked with looking after all of the people who play recreational football, to grow that as much as we possibly can, ensure that everybody who wants to play football can play football, not just play, coach, volunteer, referee, and improve everything that's going on around the game. So do we have enough referees? Are the quality of pitches good enough? Are mums and dads behaving themselves on the touchline? So there's over 40,000 people in Staffordshire who are involved in grassroots football every week. Roughly about 34,000 players, just over 1,000 referees, and just under 10,000 volunteers. So there'll be mums and dads running junior teams, friendship groups running adult teams, ground staff, treasurers, league secretaries, you name it. So there is a small army of people out there who effectively keep grassroots football going. Our job is to provide those people with as much support as they need to do their jobs effectively, and collectively we can all work together to grow and develop the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. You know, when you think of the figures that you've just said there, what you've just mentioned. I mean, but how is the Staffordshire FA funded?
Yeah, so we are part funded by the Football Association. So a lot of people don't realise that the Football Association nationally are a not-for-profit organisation. So their main income streams are things like Wembley Stadium as a venue, the England football team, the FA Cup. So those initiatives or facilities generate millions of pounds. The FA then reinvest that back into the grassroots game to grow and develop. So we and the network of 50 county FAs are one of the benefactors. In return for that, our job is to grow the game, so we will have KPIs and targets to hit, and so a lot of our funding, just over 50% of our funding comes from the Football Association. We generate our own income, so discipline is always a topical one. So if you get a red or yellow card playing football in Staffordshire, we are the organisation who has to administer that. People are not always overly happy about that they've picked up a red or yellow card and have to pay a fine. But all of that money gets reinvested back into the game. So hopefully it softens the blow a little bit, that money will go towards improving pitches, getting more referees, etc. My role, which I know we'll come on to in a bit more detail, so I'm the commercial and partnerships lead at Staffordshire FA, and I've been tasked with generating additional income by working with local businesses. Something we've not done before up until the last few years. So effectively linking up with local businesses, talking to them about the work that we do, the impact that we make, and seeing which local businesses may want to support us on that journey to get more people playing, more people involved, and in return whether or not we can offer those businesses a return on investment, whether it be exposure or potentially, depending on the nature of their product, potentially send customers their way. So that's the piece of work that I've been tasked with, which I know we're going to talk about, but that's essentially how we're funded. As I say, we're also not for profit, so our job is to reinvest our profits back into continually developing the game. So I hope that summarises that one a little bit.
Yeah, and a big chunk there, and a lot that that goes on, not just with your own role, but also with the Staffordshire FA. It's a massive area to cover, and all those people are involved in it. But for a business, you touched on there, working with businesses. But how really can a business, or what are the barriers you face with sort of partnering with businesses? Do they just look at it as a one-way sort of ticket in a way, or, you know, how do you differ from maybe perhaps even other organisations?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're sometimes a bit hamstrung by the fact that we do have a link with the Football Association. So I think a lot of people think that we are a cash-rich organisation. Obviously, there's a lot of money in football, particularly within the Premier League. So people I meet often wonder why we're looking to develop links with businesses when players are being paid £300,000 a week. Sadly, we're not in that world. The Premier League's their own organisation. So what we try and do, as I say, is explain to local businesses what we do, the impact that it could make, but also have a look and identify any partnership opportunities. So we have a number of our partners who support us who do have products that are relevant to the grassroots game, for example. So we have a recommended goalpost supplier. So we have lots of clubs who ask us where's the best place to buy a set of goalposts from. We obviously send them all to our recommended supplier. The same for things like pitch maintenance equipment. So we have a business partner in that world. So when clubs need compact tractors, mowers, line markers, etc., we're able to send lots and lots of people in their direction. So they get a fantastic return on investment. We are very lucky with some of our partners that they have some CSR budget that they spend on good causes, and a lot of those people quite like grassroots football. They have sons, daughters, grandchildren who play grassroots football, refereeing grassroots football, and get the wider benefits that grassroots football offers in terms of healthy lifestyles, bringing communities together, etc. So we are lucky that a lot of people like football, and some of the businesses that we work with are not necessarily looking for a financial return on investment, but are quite happy with the positive exposure they get from us for supporting, you know, the health and well-being of their local community via the grassroots football game.
Yeah, and you mentioned, you know, CSR, you know, corporate social responsibility, which a lot of businesses are aware of. A lot of businesses I've come across quite a lot, especially in here on Business Spotlight, are looking to do more and more of, and to get more involved with their local communities as well, and knowing how to do that. But ultimately, how can a business then, how do you foresee a business actually helping with football? I know you've talked about there helping with the grassroots and children, and, you know, making sure the facilities are there to be played and everything, and all the different staffing levels that you need. But how can a business ultimately help with football for the future?
Yeah, so one good example being League Building Society are one of our partners. So League Building Society contribute a lot towards the local community, particularly in the Staffordshire Moorlands area. We met with them via an informal networking event, told them about the work that we did. At the time we met them, we were looking to really grow the female game in Staffordshire. We wanted to get more girls and women's playing football, more females coaching, more females refereeing. And of course, we have budget restraints around that. So we have an officer who leads on our girls and women's game. League Building Society liked what we told them about our plans to grow girls and women's football, and have come on board as our girls and women's football partner. Their investment now has allowed us and our girls and women's officer to effectively have a delivery budget now where she can go out and do some really creative work away from the non-traditional football that we all we all think about, but tapping into people like, for example, mums. We've got a Mums Play Football initiative, which isn't a formal league, 9 months long every week. It's turn up and play on your own terms. And it's really captured the imagination of mums who don't have a huge amount of time during the week because they're taxiing their children everywhere, and we've created an initiative where it fits in around their lifestyles at a time that suits them, at a facility that suits them, and we've seen a real growth in that. That's one example. We've put on lots of coaching events specifically for females, and a lot of those females have told us they've been a bit nervous about coming to our coaching events in a predominantly male-dominated environment. But the female-only coaching events, a lot more comfortable, everybody at a similar stage of their coaching journey, and we put those events on all across the county. We've had a really, really good response. So loads more females coaching now in the grassroots game. Now, a lot of those initiatives have come about because of the support that we've had from League Building Society. So it's been invaluable for us and for our officer who leads on that. And we've just last week hit 5,000 female footballers playing football in Staffordshire. We had a conversation last week that simply wouldn't have happened without the support that we've received from Leek Building Society. So a really good example where a local business has supported us. Hopefully they've received lots of positive exposure off the back of supporting us, but more importantly for us, some of those numbers that we've achieved simply wouldn't have been possible without their support. So just one example of a local business who've had a massive impact on a specific area of the game.
And I suppose when a business, who is involved in that sort of capacity, and they hear the feedback and they can learn about the impact that their contribution and their support has had, I mean, surely it must put a big smile on people's faces.
I think so, and as I say, we're lucky that a lot of people like football. A lot of people get grassroots football. They're on the touchline themselves. A lot of business people, watching their sons, daughters. A lot of them are actively playing themselves, and I think we all agree. There's lots of facilities out there that could be improved. A lot of grass pitches, in particular, could be improved. We always want more referees. We're very lucky in Staffordshire that nearly every single game of football is covered by a referee. And a lot of people, when I mention that to them, they just assume, well, isn't every game of football in the country covered by a referee? Well, there's a lot of parts of the country where there's simply not enough referees. So games of football take place without a neutral, independent, qualified ref. Right. And a mum or dad will have to step into that role. Yeah. And the problems that can bring is not ideal. Yeah. So we're really lucky in this county that we've got 100% coverage of match officials. And again, a lot of the work that we do around refereeing, our principal partner is the University of Staffordshire. Yep. So a lot of the work that we do in the refereeing world is linked to the partnership with the university. So we deliver courses on the university campus. We have students who help us out with things like fitness testing. So we're always encouraging referees to try and get themselves promoted from whatever the level they're at to the next level. There's criteria involved in that, and one of those criteria is being a fitness test. The university help us out with the fitness testing, which is great. So we get quality equipment, quality facility, but also the students get, I think, a really positive experience out of it. The sports science students, that they've got a live project. So it's great. The university are a really good example of where we can do a lot of crossover work around not just, obviously, our commitment to them is that we'll continue to promote the university, and hopefully a lot of people who come through our networks who are thinking about leaving school, college, will like what they see at the University of Staffordshire from the work we do with them. Yeah. But the actual joined up partnership work is the bit that I think is really important to us and to the university, and a bit like Leek, if anything comes off the back of it in terms of customers or students, then it's a bit of a bonus in a way. But hopefully the partnership work we're doing is almost painting those businesses in a really positive light, and hopefully having a knock-on effect in people's subconscious that they're good businesses who are supporting the local community. Yeah,
and you've mentioned there like Leek Building Society, University of Staffordshire, both in different ways of how their partnerships work, but they are quite huge, big organisations as well within the area. What if, like, for a smaller business, I mean, what kind of partnerships, again, is there opportunity for smaller businesses to get involved? And if so, in what particular ways would that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have businesses of all shapes and sizes. Obviously, the two examples I mentioned are quite large organisations, the university being our principal partner and the Building Society being our girls and women's partner. So quite significant investment from them. But we have partners on a much smaller scale who support some of the work we do. And it's not always for us about generating income. There's obviously, as an organisation, we have to spend money on lots of different things as a business. A number of our partners will support us, in saving us money. And any money that we can save as a not-for-profit organisation goes back into the game. So a local one being Panda Press in Stone. So, we do a lot of design and printing for some of the work that we do. Panda Press in Stone support a lot of the work that we do in terms of producing our strategy or the documents, the printing that we do. And effectively that's saving Staffordshire FA quite a significant amount of money that we would normally spend in that world. Yeah. So that's saving us a little bit of money that, again, we can reinvest back into the game. Similar to, we have a van that we tootle around the county in to deliver things like cup finals and high-profile events, and staff were forever complaining about stuff in footballs and bibs and stuff in the boots of their cars. So we linked up with Angus McKinnon, a firm in Uttoxeter, who have kindly supplied us with a van, and effectively they get the exposure off the back of us tootling around the county delivering projects. For us, we've saved a significant amount of money on leasing that van, which again is money that we can now reinvest back into the grassroots game. So a couple of other examples of smaller partnerships than the previous ones I mentioned, but for us, every little bit of money we can save has a huge impact in reinvesting that back into the game. So we have 18 partners currently on board, all different shapes and sizes. Predominantly, most of them are Staffordshire based. Yep. We think that's important for us. We're a Staffordshire based organisation. We very proud of Staffordshire, as most of the businesses we speak to in the county are, and I think that helps as well, that the fact that we do have Staffordshire running through our strategy and everything that we do. So it's a real USP for us, the fact that we're proud of the county, and a lot of people that we work with are proud of the county. And I think when those two worlds meet, it makes the conversation a bit easier sometimes. Definitely does.
And Gareth, a lot from what you're saying there as well, and as business owner, businesses that come in here, but a lot of what goes on with also getting these partnerships, it all comes down to networking, and it all comes down, like you say, going to certain things, whether it's different events, talking to each other, having meetings, conversations, and building those relationships. But ultimately, I think what you're describing, as well as we can have like a regular business networking, it sounds like the Staffordshire FA are a network as well amongst themselves, obviously.
Yeah, and we are, and it wasn't something I set out to do when I started this piece of work. So we were conscious, when you're asking anybody for money or to save money in areas, that you kind of want to give something back. So we're lucky that we can access things such as England tickets, FA Cup final tickets, and some of our partners, due to the nature of our partnership, will supply partners with tickets to games, and obviously that's a great experience for them to use internally or externally with some of their business connections. But one of the things that we created was a quarterly networking event. So it was an opportunity for us to thank all of the partners we're working with on a quarterly basis at a unique networking event, usually linked to football. So, for example, in the spring, we brought all of our partners together to a match at Port Vale. So a bit of match day hospitality at Port Vale fixture, very informal, but again, fantastic opportunity to put all those businesses in the room for a nice afternoon out as a thank you from Staffs FA, but also an opportunity for them to do some informal networking. And what we are seeing, that we're putting the same people in the room 4 times a year, that we're seeing some really good business to business conversations taking place, which, as I say, when we set out, wasn't an objection, but an objective, but actually it's become one of the biggest selling points in my toolkit when speaking to businesses, that we have created this really nice network. So yeah, we had the spring event at Port Vale at a match day. Our next event in the summer, one of our partners is Uttoxeter Racecourse, who we have a great partnership with. We've booked their marquee on site at their summer evening racing event in July. And we've invited all of our partners to bring effectively all their workforces. It's an evening race meeting, so sort of down tools at work, come and have a night at Uttoxeter Races. Extended the invitation to other business connections that we have in the city, and also invited people, if they want, not just to bring their own workforces, but any other business connections they might like to spend a bit of social time with. So we're going to have a really good crowd of people, hopefully, if the weather's kind to us, at a really nice evening at Uttoxeter Racecourse. And again, just an opportunity for some really informal networking between our network of businesses. But we've been a little bit strategic. We've invited loads of people that we've been dying to have a conversation with for ages.
Of course.
So great opportunity for us to have a chat with them and explain a bit more about what we do that night. And again, hopefully people leave and think, I quite like being part of that network, and I'd like to find out a bit more about Staffordshire FA. They're 2 of our events. We have an annual awards evening in the autumn, which takes place at St George's Park, obviously the home of English football. Really lucky to have that in our county. So we've got an awards evening there in October. All of our partners will be invited to that, to get involved in the delivery of an evening thanking volunteers for all the work they've done in the last 12 months. And then our final event of the year in the winter, we're lucky enough to go back to St George's Park for a behind the scenes tour and a bit of a networking breakfast. So we have 4 quite unique events that we invite our partners to, and as I say, they're really enjoyable events anyway, particularly if you like football. But also we've created this or I suppose almost like business networking club internally, and that's proved to be really powerful when we see some of the business to business conversations that have taken place. So hopefully it demonstrates to some of our partners that we don't just want to be one-way traffic, that we're trying to take a bit of money or save some money. We want to try and give something back in return, so that when the partnership renewal meetings come around, it makes my life a little bit easier when people have really enjoyed working with us and our network of partners and are happy to continue that conversation. So if anyone's listening and is potentially interested in finding out more, we're always looking to expand that network a little bit more. So would love a conversation with any of your listeners who might like the idea of getting involved in that.
Yeah, and I'm just going to finish now, Gareth, and just mention there from what you've said and how you're describing it, and I've been around some of these networking events as well that you do with the Staffordshire FA. I've been privy to a couple of them, but there really is, like you say, I think it's more that natural and a different environment to network, a natural way to build those conversations and to build those relationships. And you've just mentioned there, if any of our listeners, whether they want to find out about the network, how to get involved, or even just to learn a little bit more about grassroots football as well, in many respects, whether they've got children or they want to get involved maybe refereeing, where do they need to go to find you?
Yeah, so we've got a website, staffordshiref.com. So all of the opportunities, whether it's playing, coaching, refereeing, volunteering, the website's a great starting point to find out a bit more about what we do. But I would say pick up the phone or drop me an email, contact me via LinkedIn. I say we have a team of 18 members of staff at Staffordshire FA who all have a different remit in terms of looking after different areas of the game. So whatever it is you're interested in getting involved in, whether it's, for example, refereeing, whether it's playing, there'll be a dedicated member of staff that can take you on that journey if you like, and obviously for any business connections to come through me. And as I say, it's a great time to be involved in grassroots football at the moment. The game is forever growing, particularly the female game. Disability football is forever growing, and we're tapping into communities, non-traditional communities that we've never worked with before. So it's great that we're seeing a much bigger growth of the game, and a lot of that is down to the support that we get from businesses that we simply wouldn't be able to do without the additional resource that we've got. So a really good time to join up all of those pieces and just have that cycle, if you like, of support and getting more people involved in the game all the time.
Gareth, thank you so much. Thank you for coming here on Business Spotlight. Have you enjoyed it?
I have enjoyed it, yeah. Thank you for going easy on me. Much appreciated. No, I've enjoyed it, so thank you for the opportunity. Do appreciate it.
No problem. That's Gareth Thomas here on Business Spotlight with me, Sonya Farrell.
Business Spotlight, shining a light on our local business community. Brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.